What is up, everybody? Welcome to Party on Broad. Today, we're taking just a break from the NBA draft. We're talking Philadelphia Eagles here, top to bottom. Joining me, my main man, Ryan Reese. Go give him a shout out on X at Philly Sports PSA. What's good, Ryan?
Not much, man. Always ready to talk birds, as we have 73 days, I believe, until the start of the Eagles' regular season. Not that I'm counting.
Dude, man, we were just saying this before we went live. Like, football just needs to get here, man. It really needs to get here. And we've been talking a lot about college football, man, and getting that geared up for the 2025 NFL draft. But we're talking top Eagles players 24 and under. We're talking top roster bubble candidates. We're talking, what else? Panic meter when it comes to Jordan Davis, Nakobe Dean, and Nolan Smith, and more. So, guys, if you're watching us live, please be sure to like. Please be sure to comment your thoughts on all of these segments here as we go on. And if you're watching the Phillies are up 7-1. We're also going to react to that a little bit. But let's roll on, man. We're going to rank the top 5 Eagles, 24 and under. So I made it 24. That way we don't, not everything is about Jalen. Sorry, Jalen. Not everything has to be about you all the time. But we're going to go 5-1 in this one. Lead us off, Ryan. Who's your number 5?
So this is the hardest one, is the 5th, because I felt like, there was, to me anyway, there was like maybe 6 or 7 guys that I really wanted to kind of put here. So I made a tough choice, and I put Sidney Brown.
Really?
At number 5. Yeah. I made a tough choice here, and listen, it may come back to haunt me here, but
I love it.
I don't know. I really liked what this kid showed us, and he got hurt, and everything that I'm hearing, that he's well ahead of schedule. And he, might not really miss much time at all, which is fantastic news. And honestly, we need safety help. So if he can help and to the squad there, the safeties this year, that'll be huge.
Yeah, that's the one injury that sucks, man. It truly sucks.
Yeah.
Looking at the safety room, I was big on Sidney Brown during the draft process.
Yeah, you are.
He definitely showed flashes. I would love to see his fit with C.J. Gardner-Johnson, but we'll see how that injury is. But for me, I'm going to go Nolan Smith as my number 5. There she is. All right. I mean, as a guy that only played 188 snaps last year, there were flashes like Sidney Brown. He played a lot of special teams, but man, the Eagles did not draft this dude in the first round to be a special teamer. You saw Josh Sweat and Brandon Graham and Hassan Reddick get the majority of the reps there on the edge. We need a heavier rotation at the edge spot this season so these guys don't get destroyed in the second half of the schedule. I expect Brandon Graham to play a lot less here in year 14. Give me Nolan Smith because, number 5 was difficult, and he took the place of another guy that I think we're going to be talking about specifically in this segment. But for me, I went with Nolan Smith. I do think you look at his pressure percentage, it's all there. It's just a matter of him getting on the field.
Exactly. Now, and again, he was definitely a guy that was in the number 5, consideration. So definitely tough choice here to who to leave off, honestly.
Do you want to go with number 4 or do you want me to go?
Yeah. No, actually, you can go. You go.
Yeah. All right. And this is probably a little bit controversial, but I'm going Cooper DeJean. I'm really excited to see what this kid's got. He obviously has great size for a defensive back. He's excellent in run defense. He's an excellent tackler. He's quick in his back pedal. His instincts and football IQ are off the charts. Just pure natural athletic ability, man, to play press, to play at the line of scrimmage, whatever you need him to do. That's what he does. I cannot wait to dissect how the Eagles deploy him week after week after week. It's one of the biggest things I'm going to be watching, and I think it's personally in the slot. The Eagles run a lot of dime. They're going to be out there. There's no doubt. But for me, Cooper DeJean needs to be on this list just for the fact that the Eagles' pass defense was so bad last year. It was one of their biggest Achilles heels, and he kind of fits that Fangio defense of being able to provide multiple roles on a defense, play multiple spots, and I'm excited. Who's your number 4?
Yeah, no, that's a really good one. Honestly, I don't have him on my list. Just to kind of
cool. Okay, that's fine.
The next I have I
think it's all. Hold on, sorry to interrupt. I think it's all interesting too, because I had Cooper DeJean really high on my draft rankings, and I think that's a big piece. Because I don't know how you took your top 5 versus my top 5. I did it based on guys that I think have the highest ceiling.
Yeah, no, I mean, again, I think I did a little bit of that. I did a little bit of their actual work on the field versus a little bit of maybe the hype or the expectation, if you will. And speaking of expectation, my next guy is Cam Jurgens. This is a guy that is filling in the biggest of shoes. Jason Kelce is a legend, not only in Philadelphia, but in Sea Isle, to which I am heading down tomorrow for the Jason Kelce Eagles Autism event. So certainly, if anybody's down there, hit me up. We'll grab a drink. But yeah, listen, I'm hoping Cam's down there. But yeah, I think there's a lot of weight on him, and I think he is ready to shoulder that load. Listen, he's not going to be Jason Kelce, but could he develop into something that is, at an all-pro level? I mean, he has one of the better coaches. He's got to learn under Jason for a couple of years, so I think it's set up.
Yeah.
For that. So, yeah, give me Cam Jurgens. I really think this is a huge, huge year for Cam.
And it has to be. It has to be. You look at Jalen in a new offense. For me, I'm putting him at number 2. I think he has everything in front of him with Jeff Stoutland to take everything we had with Jason Kelce. Not necessarily. I don't expect him to be Jason Kelce, but sure, I do expect him to be an All-Pro, and that's my expectation. Maybe not this year, but definitely in the near future.
Yeah.
Cam Jurgens has to be the next guy in line for this offensive line to keep Jalen Hurts away from bailing out of the pocket, out of clean pockets, to kind of keep Jalen cool between the ears. Cam Jurgens has huge shoes to fill, man. How he picks up the blitz, the defensive coordinators will blitz him up the middle. We know that's coming.
Yeah.
And how Cam handles the mental side of that is going to be wild. That's another one like Cooper DeJean that we're going to be watching every single week, given how much Jalen Hurts struggled with the blitz.
Yeah. And I only had him a little lower just again because, he's switching to a position that he technically has not played, in the NFL just yet officially. And, yeah, I'm just, expectations are certainly high, but, I need to see it a little bit. But, again, I'm hopeful, and I really do believe that you're right. You have Lane, you have Jordan, you have Landon. It's Cam's turn, and then we'll figure out right guard. You know what I mean?
and Jeff Stoutland we trust. Marshawn says Nolan Smith is not going to age well, dude. I think Nolan Smith.
I hope you're wrong. I hope I am so rooting for this kid.
Yeah,
I believe he's
25. He's 25, so he does not count for this ranking. Marshawn, I almost had a panic attack when you said Devontae Smith.
I know, right? Me too. He's not on my list.
That would change my whole ranking.
It 100% would.
But anyway, you lead us off, man. Who's your number 3?
So my number 3 is Kylie Ringo.
What? Interesting.
I am so high on this kid. I honestly think from the jump, he is going to play a major role in this defense. And him and Q and Coop and Isaiah Rogers, I think are the next kind of great group for this cornerback room, and I think it starts with Keeley. He already has a year under his belt, and um, lists and drafts are not your thing, brother. Yeah, whatever. I believe. Wait, did I? I forget. Did I win the last one? Yeah, I
Yeah,
did.
you,
I
you
did.
kind
I
of did
did.
win.
Yeah. Don't talk at me there, Marshawn. Talk to my assistant first. Um, Listen, if you don't think Keely Ringo is ready for this, you got another thing coming, man. He is absolutely going to step up and be a huge part of this defense, and I cannot wait to see it. I cannot wait to see it.
I can't wait to see what his role is. We're going to talk a lot about the secondary moving forward, but Ringo's got Isaiah Rogers to compete with, who looks like might be taking that outside starting spot away from Quinyon Mitchell. Ringo, I think, is a stud, man. It's gonna be really fun to watch.
Yeah, that's my bad.
Ringo's next.
It's funny. I literally, not to make excuses, but I literally have the Eagles autism thing on one of my other screens that I was just looking at the auctions, and one of them is anyway. It's Kylie. But anyway, all right. I know. My bad.
I'll go number 3. Number 3 for me, give me Quinyon Mitchell, man. We've been starved for a young corner with star potential, especially when it comes to coverage. And that's what this guy's bread and butter will be, man. His coverage metrics, again, the competition level wasn't great, but man, you look at the tape, he's got CB1 written all over him. His undeniable trait is his ability to break on the ball, knock away passes at the catch point, elite instincts, superb awareness for passing lanes. I can't wait to see him out there. Again, the storyline of OTAs and minicamp, if you believe what that is, it's glorified practice. It's people hype it up to level 1,000. But Isaiah Rogers was out there, and he was the storyline. He was the darling.
So far, yeah.
Pushing Quinyon Mitchell for snaps opposite Darius Slay. I don't necessarily believe it just yet. Quinyon Mitchell, for me, I think.
I personally don't watch TV. Yeah, believe me. Q is my number 2. So I get that. I still think that Ringo is the week 1 starting outside off at Slay.
Really?
Yeah, I do. Yeah, I 100% do. I think Q's going to kind of come along a little slower. I think Rogers is, again, I don't necessarily know where his fit necessarily is either, but yeah. So I am super high on Q, and I think once he takes that from Ringo, I think it's only a matter of time before Ringo eventually replaces Slay when we get rid of him after the end of this year. But and who knows what Coop will be at that point too. So it'll be a good problem to have. Let's just say that.
That's interesting. I think it's going to be Rogers, at least out the gate. I think Isaiah Rogers is going to be the from the jump.
Maybe. Yeah. I mean, again, I think no matter where you go, I think it's a good problem. You have Ringo who at times looked really good last year and was kind of just thrown into that spot. And I think now with a full off season of that, I think is Jesus Marshawn. Come on. I mean,
Jay looks hung.
Yeah, you could have. Yeah, I mean, my God, you could at least.
Steve Hall.
Yeah. But yeah, so
Jeremiah Trotter Jr.
Yeah, exactly. Like, why didn't I say that for crying out loud? But yeah,
make your list.
I just love the fact that Yeah, and a reason why I put Ringo on this list again is because he has the experience, coming out. So I'm
Yeah.
excited to kind of see him build on that when given an off season to really kind of come in and you know do his thing. So, but Q, honestly, he is the future Slay for sure.
Marjan says Ryan's going with Trevor Keegan.
Trevor Keegan, okay. My God, well, yeah, I was gonna say I'm surprised you're not naming undrafted players here.
All right,
Or
well,
BJ Mustafa.
I'm just writing this in.
Yeah, just go ahead and go ahead and write Jalen Carter in there. Obviously, this guy is number one. And when you said this, I was like, what are the other four going to be? Because I mean, Carter is a monster. He is going to be a problem. He is going to be the next feared interior defensive lineman in this NFL. And we got him as a steal. Thank you, Chicago. I cannot wait to see what this kid builds upon. And I hope to dear God he drags Jordan Davis's ass along with him. And hopefully he gets his butt in the gear too, because the two of them could honestly just have the nastiest interior line duo
That was
ever.
that the take was Jalen Carter was their best defensive player last year, at least for a decent amount of the football season, especially at the start. He started to fade, and the Eagles didn't have the firepower to make up for their best rookie, and there were some concerns. There was some poor effort, there was lack of execution from Jalen Carter. I think he needed to be I would like him to be a little more consistent against the run going forward. But if you love PFF, he was still ranked as the 19th best interior defensive lineman against the run. He had a 69.4 run defense grade. So obviously he has all the tools to be one of the best in the league. And that's what we're hoping for. And you could make a list of like top 10 most important, most vital players on the Eagles to success in 2024. Jalen Carter's on that list. You look at the lack of depth at that position, that guy cannot get hurt. The Eagles cannot afford whatsoever for him to miss significant time. I expect Howie to address that position, and we're actually going to be talking about that later. Which free agent, what position would we hope Howie addresses in free agency if we could pick one position? But you look at Jalen Carter, man, he has to be everything we need because, Marshawn brought up this name, Jordan Davis. I purposely did not put him on the list.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I wrote down 8 names. Jordan Davis was on that list, but he didn't make my top 5.
Yeah, and Calais Campbell already signed with the team.
Already signed, yeah. He just signed a couple days ago.
Yeah, so he's off the board there for the Birds in free agency. But I think it's a good list. I think it's going to be a really fun list. Like to dissect the defense week after week after week. Look at all the young talent on defense. That's what we were hoping, man. That's what we were hoping.
And we're literally talking about 24 years old. Like there are people that come out of the draft that are already 24 years old. So like this is a good list for the fact that we have such a young talented players.
I guess he joined the Dolphins.
Yes, it was the Dolphins.
Went to the Dolphins.
That is not at all remotely true.
That's not. All right. Yeah. All right. So there's our list. It's going to be a fun year. If you're into watching, I mean, I personally think I might have to do some kind of segment like this where we do like updates, like Eagles 24 and under,
like power
rankings of the top Eagles young prospects, because there's so many that they're going to be relying upon, unlike years past where Howie would just throw Band-Aids at these positions. I mean, Devin White is still what, like 25, 26 years old.
I think he's maybe he might be even 25. Jeez.
So there's a lot of question marks. A lot of guys that really need to step up in a big way in 2024 at key positions that we have seen kill the Eagles in big moments. So let's roll on to our next segment. Rank the top Eagles duos on the current roster. Top Eagles duos.
Man.
We're heavily into the dry part of the offseason where I'm just trying to think of anything.
Listen, we actually surprisingly have a bunch of really good duos here. I wish.
We might be talking about Justin Simmons in a little bit.
Yes,
Nick and Big Dom.
There you go.
I like it.
I think you have to say number one out the gate, AJ Brown and Devontae Smith. I think is number one. You have 1A, 1B. You have a T.O. and a Deshaun Jackson type. Like it's great. I mean, how many years did we go through the Todd Pinkstons and the James Thrash, and I don't want to go down the road, but you know what I mean. Yeah. I mean, they're amazing.
Jordan and Lane.
Yeah, I think for me that's number two, a clear number two.
Yeah.
I mean, you had bookends,
literally top 5 in the NFL.
Yeah. I mean, listen, Lane, I feel like has given up a sack and maybe only one sack in the last 20 years, give or take. And Jordan is just growing, getting better. And, again, it all goes to show you Stoutland is a miracle worker. I love him. Oh, wow.
How about Bryce Huff and Josh Sweat? Any thoughts? They were my third. They were my 3. Then I went Jalen Carter and Jordan Davis.
Yeah, that's what would be my.
Jalen Carter and Jordan Davis.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because listen, for all the crap that Jordan Davis gets, he still was pretty effective in the run game. He definitely, whittled down towards the end of the year and whatever, but I just think the potential of Jalen Carter is just he's gonna.
Yeah, but I feel like even limited snaps, like Bryce Huff has shown you.
Yeah, you're right. He had
decent amount, and but take out last year.
Well, okay, but you can't, unfortunately. You have to include it. It was a terrible year for him, and again, the first year of a player who is now being asked to play, a lot more minutes, a lot more snaps. So I'm a little hesitant to put those guys up there. I'd honestly put whatchamacallit.
It's interesting you said Cooper. How about CJ Gardner-Johnson?
Yeah.
I had CJ Gardner-Johnson in Blankenship as of right now as my number 6. I put Slay and Quinion for my number 5.
Yeah, I have them on my number 4, and I think I'm going to put Sweat and Bryce at number 5. But yeah, I don't know. Can we? I know this is this is you. You are the king of, alternate rules here. But can we theoretically go with Landon Dickerson and Cam Jurgens as interior offensive lineman duo?
I agree. I like it.
I like it. I think it's a good duo.
I mean, Landon.
No, he's not there yet. But again, I think the potential is there. Again, that's what we just went with Q. Is what we went with Bryce. This is what we're going with. With a lot of guys here. The potential of them to be good.
And this is why I scream defensive line. And you could arguably say, I mean, we're going to get into our NFL draft and positions of need for the Eagles in future shows, but defensive line is so vital for this team. I mean, when you're relying on Jalen Carter and Jordan Davis, because you look at the other guys on that list, there's a lot of vets, but Jalen Carter and Jordan Davis, there's huge expectations for them.
Yeah. Yeah, listen, I mean, you look at you look at this, next year. Think next year. You're not gonna have Brandon Graham. You're gonna hope Bryce did, lived up to his, full-time status, if you will. You hope Josh Sweat comes back and figures it out and has, a year like he did the year before. But what if those two things don't happen? What are you left with? You're left with hope that Jalen's Hunt is a guy. Your hope that, somebody else kind of comes out of the woodwork, or you're back to the drawing board and now you're going for edge again and defensive line in the first round of the draft.
Yeah, it's gonna be fun, man. I'm trying to look at Bryce Huff's stats. Marshawn says Bryce gives us 10 sacks. He better.
That would be great. I mean, we need to replace the Hassan stats. So, Sweat needs to step his game back up, and Brandon Graham needs to give us, 5. I'm hoping, Carter just eats.
Milton Williams. I mean,
that's another one.
The amount of snaps that need to be replaced here with Reddick and Cox gone.
So
there's a lot. Go ahead.
So I will say this. What about the potential of, let's just say, Jordan Davis doesn't have a good year?
I think.
Do they give Milton Williams a nice contract to say, hey, Milt, stay, get paid by us, and you and Carter are now the starting duo, and Jordan Davis is just kind of playing off that fourth year, hopes he can, salvage something.
I think there's potential. It's like, no, it's in New York. All right. Sorry, I'm watching Phillies. But anyway, I was low-key hoping Milton Williams would have gotten resigned this
one of those. Yeah, that would have been great.
Or extended on a team-friendly deal. Yep. But I feel like he's going to get paid. Like, all signs point to him having a very, very good season and breaking the bank and not necessarily being within the Eagles' kind of priorities, mostly because if you look at next year's draft, and I always am, the defensive line is loaded in next year's draft. Without a doubt, the strongest position in the draft. It is deep at defensive tackle, and that's to the point. It's so deep, whether it's edge or defensive tackle, that I'm shocked at how we didn't trade for future picks in the top.
Honestly, that's a great point, because there are
Josh. I mean, look at Josh Sweat. He's in a contract
deal. Yeah. Honestly, that this defensive line could look vastly different if things don't go the right way. Like, I could easily see it. And there's plenty of cheap options in that draft that'll come on in and want to prove something. I mean, I know every mock draft that that exists out there anyway for 2025 has given us, somebody from either the Carter or Pierce or whoever, again, some edge. So
we're left with the worst pass D. I hope not. They've spent so much money
on time on that. Yeah.
Let's hope not.
Yeah, they brought in, CJ. They drafted 2 new guys. I mean,
let's hope not. And Isaiah Rodgers looks like he's ready.
Right, yeah, exactly. That looks like a steal. Hopefully, so they've made the right moves, and again, not all of them are going to work, but you just hope you put yourself in a good enough position to where it's not going to screw you from moving forward and getting better.
Yeah, Jordan Davis had his flashes, man, but he needs to work on the conditioning. Let's get into that. Let's get into our next segment, because that's exactly where we're going. All right. Question is, on a panic meter, Ryan, where 10 is complete shit your pants, 1 is complete patience, you're cool as a cucumber. Where do you think the Eagles view Jordan Davis, Nakobe Dean, and Nolan Smith. 3 guys that have to step up in 2024. Where should we start first?
Let's
Should we
go
start
Jordan.
with
Let's go Jordan.
Let's
Yeah,
go
let's go
Jordan.
Jordan.
Where are you?
Okay. So I will always take the media viewpoint with a grain of salt and assume that the Eagles' viewpoint is much softer. If you ask everybody and their mother, Jordan Davis is fat, overweight. He didn't, he couldn't do anything in the last, half of the season. And yeah, some of that to an extent, yeah, was kind of true. He fell off pretty hard. But again, still very effective in the run game. Anybody who saw him at the Eagles autism bike race he looked pretty good. What's going on? He looked pretty good, and
Get
I'm
a
sure.
room.
I know, right? I'm sure he heard it. I'm sure he heard it, so I'm sure that motivated him. I personally think the Eagles are probably at about a 3.
Wow.
I really don't think I think they are still very confident that he can do his job, especially next to Jalen Carter as he continues to grow and get better and amass more, coverage, if you will, more people that'll free up Jordan Davis to get a lot more one-on-ones, be able to penetrate, be able to assist in the run game a lot better. And I'm hoping the conditioning is up. He's shedded some pounds for some muscle, which is scary considering how massive he is. I think they know all along. I think it's a 3.
Dude, I'm like the exact opposite, man. What's up, Antonio? I'm at a 7. I'm at a 7, man. First of all, like I'm biased. I was never a big fan of the pick to begin with.
Well, yeah, agreed. Yeah, I think we all know who we all wanted. So,
I mean, they spent a first, a fourth, and 2 fifth-round picks to get him in 2022.
yep.
Fangio even mentioned the conditioning has to improve.
Yep.
When you're drafted in the mid first round, like you got to be elite and you got to be on the football field, and he can't just be an okay player.
Right.
This guy has to be, playing way more snaps, and he's going to get that opportunity this year. And I'm excited. Like I feel like after he chased down Josh Allen, like he basically that was it for him. That literally was his like endurance meter was.
Yeah, it's like when you play Madden and you hit the turbo, you hold down the turbo button, and then you're just depleted, and you're like, well, that's all you had for the season, there, Jordan.
Phillies win. Good win. Bryce Harper continues to dominate. There's a post-game show going on at some point soon.
Yeah, whatever the MVP odds are right now, hit that Bryce Harper right now, baby. Get yourself some money.
Yeah, so I'm at a 7 with Jordan Davis. Let's roll on to Nakobe Dean.
Jesus, we're a 7 for Jordan Davis. My God.
I'm getting a little feedback, Ryan. I don't know what is.
Sorry? Okay. Maybe I was a little too close.
Maybe. I don't know. It sounded like, I don't know.
Is it better now? I mean, obviously, I don't hear it.
Talk a little bit. Go.
Okay. I'm talking. Can you not hear me? Am I good? You want me to turn it?
Check.
Check.
I think it's me. I think it's me.
Oh, okay.
All right. Anyway. In the comments, if you hear any feedback, let me know.
Yeah.
Let us know. All right. Nakobe Dean, I'm at an 8.
That's it. If you were a 7 for Jordan Davis, I thought you would have been a 32 for Nakobe Dean.
I'm at an 8 for Nakobe Dean. I'm willing to I'm not saying he's injury prone, but I think the Eagles are at a point where he's not even at the forefront of their mind. I think Nakobe Dean is kind of a backup at this point. Zach Bond, Devin White, clearly starters. What do you think?
I mean, I hate to say this because I put a lot of time and effort into Nakobe Dean, prior to the draft, after the draft. And this is a kid that just, I feel like just has had some bad luck with some of these injuries. And yeah, I'm not ready to call him injury prone just yet, but also I understand that this is the last year that he really has in order to prove that he can be a high quality player in this league. So, God forbid me. I'm gonna say 9.
9.
I'm not. I'm not. I think they just are like. I think they think, man, if we get anything out of this kid, it'll be great. If he stays healthy, it'll be great. Like, I think they're just at this point planning, or planning. As he's just an addition, not planning for him, not planning winning them, just planning he's there.
Yep. Let's roll on to Nolan Smith. Nolan Smith, I'm at a 3. What about you?
I'm at a 5. I'm a little worried of the fact that he didn't play so much. And
I think it's more dysfunction on the defense than it is Nolan Smith.
That's what I'm hoping. That's the rational explanation I told myself. But I'm really hoping that's the case. So I kind of just threw it in the middle because outside of that, like, man, like the kid showed he was effective in the very limited snaps he had. So why not give him more? Why not just unleash him, especially during the end there when it was clear that things were absolutely everybody had jumped ship. Just throw him out there the whole game for crying out loud. So I'm a little worried that he didn't get on the field a little much. I hope it's the dysfunction. I hope that my 5 turns into a 1 come early on in this training camp period.
How many games do you give Nolan Smith?
Like total or like this year?
No, like so. For example, hypothetically, like we're in week 7.
Okay.
And you haven't seen Nolan Smith make progress.
Oh my God, I'm on a 20,000 panic. Week 7 and he's still getting the same kind of treatment he was last year.
Yeah, and not getting on the field.
Not good. Not good at all. Something's wrong.
Yeah. I think the Eagles are banking on him to make a huge leap. I think like Brandon Graham down here, Nolan Smith up here.
That's essentially what I gathered is how the snaps should work.
Yeah.
Hopefully. Yeah. But yeah, if he's still getting that treatment and it's week 5, 6, 7, somewhere in there. Ouch, bro. Yeah. That means you can't handle the playbook or
the run defense,
or you have no skills in that, and I know that not to be true, but I don't know. I'd be so worried.
Yep. All right. Which surprise roster bubble candidate will get cut? The guy I said this on previous shows, but this one's a no-brainer for me. I'm going Josh Jobe because I think he's a quality defensive back. I really like Josh Jobe, but the secondary is just so loaded and reloaded in 2024. You got Mitchell and I think Isaiah Rodgers battling it out for that QB2 spot on the outside. I think you got Ringo and Maddox and Ricks and McPherson, just a ton of competition, man. It's crazy. And I just think Joe is probably going to be one of the final guys on the out. And some team's going to get a good player. Who's yours?
Yeah, listen, it's definitely somebody from the cornerback room, and I'm going to say it's Avonte Maddox. Again, I think there's just too many players in that cornerback room. I mean, unless they figure out some way to erase, Bradbury's contract, or again, they just flat out cut him and take the hit, which they certainly may do, but I don't know why wouldn't they have done that by now, considering it's post June. So I'm worried that Bradbury's going to be there. You have Slay, you have Q, you have Coop, you have Ringo. That's 5 right there. And then you still have Matt, Job, Ricks, Becton, like you at McPherson. Like I could probably name a couple others. Like there is definitely going to be probably 2, maybe 3 names that were like, oh snap, they cut him too. Like, and I think that's Maddox. I agree with you. I think it's Job as well. And might be Eli Ricks too. Like honestly, like it's going to be a bloodbath in that
The
cornerback.
number crunching is going to be wild.
Yeah.
Oh, it's going to be wild. And that's our last question of the evening. If you're Howie Roseman, you could add one free agent to the roster. Which position do you address? Do you want to go first? Do you want me to go first?
You can go first.
It's Justin Simmons. I go safety.
We're going. I was going to say we're going specifics, but I got you.
Yeah, it's safety. I want this pass defense to get, to be one of the best in the league. I think Simmons. You look at his history with Fangio. He led the NFL in interceptions back in 2022. Last year, he allowed 23 receptions on 36 targets with a QB rating of 85.9 when targeted. He would just be like this. Eagles defense needs some men in the locker room. Like there's a lot of inexperience. There's a lot of guys that are expected to take that next step. I'm not the biggest Reed Blankenship guy, and I think Justin Simmons is exactly what the Eagles are looking for. You look at Justin Simmons' snaps in 2023, 985 snaps. Of those, 594 came at free safety, 230 came in the box, and 144 came in the slot. We just talked on and on and on about Cooper DeJean and Isaiah Rodgers and guys that can play different roles and fit this defense. Justin Simmons is a lead in the slot. He was 11th in the NFL last year. And I think of all the safeties in the slot per PFF, if you like that or not, take that with a grain of salt. But I think you're not going to find a better option. For me, give me a safety. What about you?
Yeah, I mean, listen, I kind of assumed that's where you were going, so I didn't. But that's very smart. I mean, you essentially, I mean, remember way early on where we said in this offseason, wouldn't it be great if we can make Reed Blankenship officially our third safety? And Justin Simmons would immediately do that. You can keep Coop at corner just like you want, see how that plays out, and then you don't have to rush Sidney Brown at any time. You can have him take a sweet old time, get healthy, get better, and then you add him, and then you have 4 safeties. Like that would be amazing. But I went with edge. I'm terrified of how this edge rotation situation is going to happen. And there are a couple of really good ends out there that I really would like. Emmanuel Ugba, one of my personal favorites, Yannick Ngakoue. I love that dude.
I didn't even know he was still out there.
Yeah, I didn't either. I thought he had re-signed, but I guess I had heard wrong.
He's a forever Eagle, man. I remember just like
right, exactly. Remember the whole Jason Peters thing, and exactly. Like that's how long ago we were talking about this dude, Jason Peters. But Carl Lawson, is around. Like there are definitely some names out there that are gonna, obviously for obvious reasons they're still free agents, but like. Again, you have that late 20s, early 30s kind of group. There's 4 or 5 guys that, I would love to bring one in just to at least, get the snaps up, maybe ease Huff into his role, maybe not put so much pressure on Josh Sweat to return to form, whatever. Maybe help things with Jalix Hunt, whatever. A myriad of different reasons why you would want another guy in the room there that's better than whoever the third guy, and again, also, we just talked about Nolan Smith. It takes a little pressure off Nolan Smith. So for so many reasons why I would feel a lot better if they went. And listen, I would love that if there was a all-pro linebacker out there. I would have said linebacker, because to be perfectly honest, I'm not 1,000% sold on Devin White. Cover your ears, Rob.
He's at Disney World. He's not listening.
Yeah, exactly.
There's no way.
He's got to listen. And listen, you have, Lloyd Braun, as you call him. You have Oren Burks, like you have Trot, you have Nakobe Dean. Like there's a lot of question marks in all of those guys. And I'm hopeful, but again, unfortunately, there's just not a guy that's just sitting out there that you're going to be able to bring in. So I went with defensive end. I thought it was at least a little bit more realistic given who's out there.
Yep. Yeah, that's and we've talked about it, that all signs or all eyes are looking at Nolan Smith, man. That guy has to deliver and be a first-round pick. Jordan Davis has to look like a first-round pick for an entire regular season.
Yeah.
There's a lot of, and this is the reality. This is what we wanted, Ryan. Like we've been talking about this for a long time, that we need to see these young kids on the football field.
Right.
There's excitement, there's nerves,
fear,
fear in play. So it's what it is. But anyway,
this is the season of if. There's a lot of ifs. And if things go right, we could be, looking at another Super Bowl berth.
Yeah.
If things go wrong, we could be getting to use an NBA term, a lottery pick.
And this is what did you see the PFF one thing said the best fits for NFL 2025 NFL draft targets it was James Pierce. That dude is a top 5 pick. If the Eagles are a bottom 5 team in the league, they'll get James Pierce.
Yeah,
which I love.
Believe me, I love it too, and that's why I referenced it earlier. It's funny just now. Obviously, things do change and can change, as we obviously know. Covering college and the draft and whatnot, but I just really think that we're going to be looking for another defensive lineman come 2025.
No doubt about it. No doubt. All right, let's wrap it up. Ryan, final thoughts, plugs.
Listen, this was a fun little exercise. We miss our bud Rob, who's running around probably. I can only assume his little boy is driving him nuts there.
Oh my God! If you've been to Disney with your kid, right?
No, actually, I haven't. Not yet.
Oh my God, dude! It's like you're there, like sun up to sundown in Florida, summer weather. We went 2 years ago, dude. We got home. We didn't even shower. Like you just pass out.
Yeah.
Like
I know a lot of friends that do that, and I get strange looks when I tell people that I have no desire to ever go to Disney. And they're like, "Oh, what about your son?" I was like, "What about him? Like he can like something else. Like I can go on Disney Plus, and that's what I'll do." I don't want to wait in the damn lines, and I don't want to do all that. But anyway, so we're happy to have Rob back next week. But I do want to say a big shout out to my boy Shane, his mom Candace, and his dad Spider for inviting me down for this next couple of days for the Kelsey event. I'll be super excited to kind of hang out and get my drink on and hang out with some Eagles. So again, if anybody's there, just hit me up right there. Shoot me a message. We'll link up and grab beer. Maybe I'll chug Kelsey because I totally can, by the way. But anyway, you can check me out Mondays, 6:00 normally. Football Smack Talk show. This show, 9:00. The Best Eagles show out there. Birds of the Round Table. Normally at Tuesdays at 8:00, but I think we're doing Thursday at 5. Maybe is that happening? I don't know. Yeah. Still up in the air, maybe. But we'll see. But anyway, check us out. Make sure you're liking, following EOP. Make sure you give this guy a follow. The guy puts out more crap. And I don't mean crap as in bad stuff. I just mean like I don't know where the time is that he puts all this stuff out. It is amazing stuff. If you want to learn the draft, if you want to learn about the NBA draft, the NFL draft, whatever. He's put out videos on everything. So check out EOP. Check out all the videos. They're pretty much all done by him, and they're amazing. So.
Yeah, I just put a bow on the NBA draft stuff. So
when is that?
It's Wednesday.
This Wednesday, right? Yeah, that's okay.
Yeah, so we're gonna have earlier today I did a show with Sean and Ryan, the other Ryan, and we did our favorite second round prospects and sleeper prospects for the draft. This year the draft is going to be 2 nights. It's going to be a first round on Wednesday, second round on Thursday for the first time. So that'll be interesting.
Question for you in that regard: do you think there will be any decent engagement on that Thursday night?
I'm not doing a watch party because it's actually the start time for the draft is 4 p.m. for day 2.
Gross.
And I'm going to be at work. So it's just not, I can't.
Right.
But Wednesday night.
I just meant in general. You think viewership or whatever is going to be? I mean, I know
probably not. Very little. I mean, I personally love the second round. Like that's always been I go back to the process years and I gush over second round undrafted prospects. that is peak dives.
Yeah. Well, that's what I figured. The second round, night is for.
No different than the NFL draft with day 3 guys. I love that stuff.
I mean, don't get me wrong, but I feel like you have to be a real sicko to be a second round NBA draft guy. I mean, I love it.
Dude, this channel, I'm not lying. This channel was built on that kind of stuff, man. That's my thing. Antonio says they're trading the pick. A whole billion% they are trading that.
Oh God, I really hope so, and I hope it's for somebody halfway decent. I saw a trade for who's the Levine, and it was like 8 players, including Melton and the French guy, whose name is escaping me.
Victor Wembanyama?
No, the French guy on the Eagles. On the Sixers. We only just got him this year.
Nico Batum,
yeah. It was him, and it was 2 other guys, and then a first rounder for Levine. And I was like, I'd rather just give up the picks.
They don't even have guys to trade.
Well, that's what I was like. I mean, I get it.
That's what's so difficult and exhausting about this offseason, Ryan, is they don't have guys on the roster. If they're making a trade, it's got to be a 3-team trade because all they have is picks. They can only trade picks.
Oh, yeah, because you theoretically you can't trade somebody after signing them within however many, right?
I mean, I guess you could sign and trade a Paul Reed or something, or I don't like.
But don't they have? They would have to re-sign Batum.
Batum's a free agent,
right? That's what I'm saying. They'd have to re-sign him. Melton is on the roster, right?
Yeah, like the whole Paul George noise. Now he wants a sign and trade. No, I didn't even want him to begin with before he didn't cost you assets. Absolutely not. So Antonio says nobody watches the second round. You're right. Draft is 2 nights because Jokic was drafted during commercials. Everything Dario's never coming over. I miss those days, Marshawn. I miss those days so much.
Oh, wow. I'm glad Marshawn finally learned to.
I legit remember when they knew exactly what plane he was on. And I remember watching on my computer. I took off work and I remember watching it. And who was the guy? Who's the airport guy?
Johnny Airport. John.
The airport.
John.
He was there and waiting for him to land the plane, literally.
John Clark, right?
Levine, sign and trade. Who do you want? I mean, there's not a lot of great options out there for the Sixers. Obviously, it starts with Lauri Markkanen. if he's even remotely available. For me, that I would go that route. I mean, obviously LeBron James is, tier A or S, whatever you want to call it, for the Sixers. But after that, it gets muddy. I don't want Paul George. I do not want Jimmy Butler. I mean, Mikal Bridges is tier S.
Yeah,
And then you get to building a roster of like guys that could be third stars in different roles. So you look at a DeJounte Murray. You look at maybe trade for a young ascending player on another team that could be a better fit for a third number 3 role on the Sixers. I do not want Brandon Ingram.
No, absolutely don't want him either. I like that idea, the Cade Cunninghams of the world.
I'm tired of soft loser players, man. Stop with the Ingram. Stop with the Paul Georges. Like, no, absolutely. Like, it's just man. I know Daryl Morey is trying to make his first imprint on this team, but he couldn't have picked a worse offseason to do it, man. It is. I would respect the hell out of Daryl Morey if he like went outside of the box and made a move for like a Cade Cunningham that we talked about, or recognize that this free agency sucks and maybe even trade for more picks and like load up on assets to make a move if a star becomes available, at the trade deadline. But there's not a lot of options. OG opted out. And he's looking for 35, 40 million.
My God, that's insane. Like these contracts are getting nuts.
The market for wings is nuts. Yeah. That's why when we did our draft show, I put out 32 scouting reports on Sixers draft targets. They're all pretty basically guards and wings. The Sixers need to load up on talent. That's just the future of the NBA, two-way players, man. And the Sixers have counsel, which they didn't play because of Tobias and that loser, but they need wings in the worst way.
Yeah, they just need to make an impactful move, honestly. And if they can do that without hamstringing,
so I do want to say, like, I agree they're going to trade the pick, but I do think there are going to be very solid fits for the Sixers at number 16. Like, if we want a wing, there are fits. There's no stars. There's no like Tyrese Maxey's. There's no like. I don't think that is in this draft, but there are really solid role players like a Tristan Da Silva or a Ron Holland or guys that could fall to the Sixers at number 16 and be really good impact guys from day one and shooters and things like that. So while there isn't a star in this draft, I think it's loaded with role players. And that's, I think, where the future of the NBA is going towards. With the new CBA rules, I think teams are now going to start doubling down on trying to find these elite role players on their teams. And I think that starts with wings. And this draft, I think, is loaded with wings that have really nice upside. Chicago should only trade Giddey for pick 21. All right. Let's wrap it up, man. Oh my gosh. Anyway, we will be live. I'm sorry. We just totally lost track of this.
Next time. Yeah, that happens.
Yeah. Guys, we'll be live Wednesday. Me, Sean, Ryan Quill, and Mitch, and Mark Henry. We will be doing a live watch party of the NBA draft, breaking down all the reaction. It's going to be a lot of fun. So be sure to check in and hang out with us then. He is Ryan Reese at Philly Sports PSA. I'm Dobbs, Mr. Crackpot. Stay awesome, everyone.